Welcome into the first ever crossover P2/TDL podcast episode. I am unfortunately not joined by Preston at this time. He is back in Missouri selling lemons to unsuspecting customers, but I am joined by Mr. Cameron Evans, Nolan Lapardis, and for the first time ever, Mr. Taylor Burrow. How are you guys?
Hello, nice to meet you.
That is Taylor Burrow, who unfortunately suffered a terrible accident.
Was on the golf course today.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Great. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That is riveting. Great, and fantastic.
Ready to talk some football.
Taylor, how's it feel to finally be making an appearance?
It feels good. I had a brief appearance, last season when I made a trade, and you guys called me because the trade happened right in the middle of the podcast. So I had a phone call in for about 30 seconds where I got to state some things, but yeah, I've been excited to get on here, so I'm glad we're finally doing it.
I forgot about that. That's back when me and Preston used to go in the Tuscumbia school parking lot and record them in the car. Now we've upgraded to a fancy house, and now a very fancy house in Nebraska. Taylor's been so kind as to have us up here to play a little golf and have some fun this weekend, so it's been a pretty good time. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about, you guys want to talk about the TDL League first? Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Taylor, would you like to go first? I'll just ask you, because you're kind of a dynasty guy, what's your take, what's your experience with TDL so far?
Oh, I love it. I had been saying for years that we needed to get a dynasty version of the TFFL, so I'm really glad that we did it. I think we have a really great group of guys, besides Preston, so it's been a lot of fun, and it's given me something to do this summer where I've really got to dive into all this stuff, and yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. How does it compare to your other dynasty leagues that you played in?
Oh God, it's kind of a bad time to ask me because one of them just died. But it's a little bit different. I'm in another 12-man, and then the other ones are 2 8-men. So the 8-man leagues are kind of weak. It's like everybody has crazy teams, but the 12-man is. I started last year. I took over an orphan team. And that team was definitely about to die, and so trying to kind of resurrect that team right now, and so that gave me the experience to know, like, okay, it's a little bit different in a 12-man super flex league with the tight end premium too. So it had a lot of similarities to this league.
Yeah, Cam, what about you? You played in Miles' dynasty league, right? You did not?
No, I wasn't in that one.
Okay, so what's your dynasty experience outside
I
of
have
this?
played a dynasty league before, though, but it was IDP, so...
Oh, okay.
And it was it was only 8 people, though, so, I mean, people had lots of good players constantly. But, yeah, the way the dynasty works, it's fun. It's fucking hard at the pick that I had at 12, man. Like, I got some good wide receivers there. QB room's pretty shit. Decent running backs. Better than that, I kind of just had to get some scrubs. And the whole aspect of trading picks and all that, trying to learn values and stuff. That way I don't fuck myself on trades or something, because it's a lot different than a redraft league, where you can just go out and get whoever for the year and not have to worry about anything. This, you want to build for the future, get some young guys, and so...
I gotta pop in with a PMAC, kind of interrupt you here. The 12th pick, I would have loved to have the 12th pick.
Really?
In a third round reversal. I was like, what was I, the third pick? I was third or fourth. I was scared because of that third round reversal. I thought, man, I'd way rather have a late
That definitely did help. I forgot about that while we were in the middle of the draft. Yeah, without that, it definitely would have been way scarier for sure.
Especially with just the way that the league's set up and like with the scoring and the quarterbacks and stuff. I mean, there's a couple people that Preston kind of complained about it, but I think it's necessary. Otherwise, I think it would have probably been too lopsided. I mean, it at least gave some advantage to missing out on those stud quarterbacks where you're like you were able to have. You took Malik and CD, and then who did you take at the top?
So I took Hampton at the reversal there, which. Okay. I hope that works out for me. He's supposedly going to be a stud.
Yeah.
Many years to come, too. John Harbaugh. I mean, come on. We're playing for that guy. You know Hampton's going to ball out. Okay, come on.
Right.
They're running that thing all day.
It would be Jim Harbaugh, right? Isn't that Jim Harbaugh?
John Harbaugh is the coach of the Chargers.
No. Jim's coaching the Chargers.
Yeah,
John's
Jim.
in
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, even better. The better of the two.
The better of the two Harbors. I agree
That's
with
right.
that. Uglier, but
National
better.
championship winner.
Yeah. What about you, Nolan? You did play in Miles League, but how's your dynasty experience been in your career and then with this league as well?
So aside from Miles' league, I'm in one other dynasty league that's like a keeper. So we get 2 players that we can keep each year, but you can only keep one of those players for 2 years in a row, and then you have to release them back to the draft pool, and then we redraft every year. Obviously, aside from the 2 that we keep, that one's pretty fun. I like to be able to keep 2 of them and then redraft the rest.
Is that one where you lose the pick also?
Yeah, so if you keep one in the 6th round, like last year I kept Trey McBride in the 6th round, so I lost my 6th round pick. But we also have a tight end premium in that league. It's 1.5 points.
Yeah.
So I really like that one. I'm glad that we started the TDL Dynasty League. It's a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a good league that's going to last a long time, especially with the group of guys we have in there.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's really committed to the fantasy football world. So I'm excited for
As
that.
if we weren't committed enough before. Now we have
Right.
something to at least keep us busy in the
Oh,
off-season time. So I know you guys, a couple of you kind of touched on it, but how are you all feeling about your team so far? I know that it's brand new, but overall, I mean, honest, how do you guys feel? Taylor?
I'm liking my team a lot. Obviously made some big trades here early on to kind of position myself for the future. Some people will say that my QB room is a little weak. I think that was Spencer.
I think it was.
I'm here to say that it's not weak. Jared Goff and Kyler is a solid QB room. And if Daniel Jones ends up winning that starting job, then it's just even better. I feel like I have good wide receivers that are all pretty young. I think my oldest one is T. Higgins at 26. So good young wide receiver room. I think I have the 2nd and 3rd best dynasty tight ends in my mind with Trey McBride and Sam Laporta. So that's tough to beat. Running back room's a little bit old, not as great, but I think honestly with the way this league is set up with the half-point PPR for running backs, full point for wide receivers, and 1.5 for tight ends, that running backs just become less valuable.
Right.
They already have a shelf life that's so much less than every other position. And so I think that just makes them even more or less valuable in this league.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing with Dynasty too that I've kind of learned is like you want to be really good at wide receiver and also QB, of course, because the thing with the running backs, I mean, unless you're like Saquon or something, you're probably not going to last that long. I mean, you constantly need to keep that thing kind of young,
Right.
young studs and stuff. But yeah, the wide receivers, I guess that's like the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he said, I mean, with the PPR being tiered, like it puts a premium on the tight ends, but then, it also makes the wide receivers a little bit more, because I think they're already a little bit more valuable than running backs in Dynasty just because of how much longer they tend to last, but especially with the scoring being a little bit different. Taylor, back to you. I'll stay with you, I guess. Just kind of looking at your team, you got 2 firsts in 26, you have 3 in 27, and 2 in 28. Do you typically, when you play Dynasty, do you like to have a lot of picks and build for the future? Are you kind of a win now guy, or what's your mindset with that?
I like to try to find some sort of balance where you have a team that can definitely compete, but you still have enough draft capital to keep you going in the future. I like to stockpile as many firsts as I can. If you can't tell, there's a year that I'm already kind of looking at, which is 2027. That I'm trying to get as many firsts as I can. I think it would be pretty cool to have 4 or 5 in just 2027. So those 26 picks, mine and Bo's that I own, are officially on the block. So if you're interested in those, or you want to do some sort of pick swap, something like that, that's definitely available. But yeah, it's good to have picks because I think right now, if I wanted to package a couple firsts and like a average starter that I have, say like a Kamara or a Montgomery or like a Garrett Wilson, package a couple firsts with one of those guys, I don't think there's many guys in the league that are going to turn that down just for me to get a stud and them to get a young or old player, maybe a rent-a-player situation, and some firsts.
Yeah, I agree. Nolan, what about you? Same kind of questions. How do you feel about your team, and kind of what's your vision?
At the moment, I think my team is going to be able to compete. I wouldn't say it's like super good at the moment. I'm slightly concerned about my wide receiver room. I think Brian Thomas is going to be all right as long as T-Law can stay healthy and throw the ball around the yard a little bit. I don't think he's all that. But
That's the understatement of the year.
But I think that Brian Thomas can still get his. Jordan Addison, Jameson Williams, those two guys are okay. They're decent, but I'd like to somehow build up my wide receiver room a little bit more. I feel like I have some good guys on the bench. Kind of like Taylor said, I'm trying to be competitive now, but also not just waste away my future.
Right.
Obviously, everybody knows in both leagues that I've not had much success ever, and by much I mean zero. So I'd like to make some noise sometime soon. So I don't want to just throw it out the window now and just trade away people to get picks for the future, but I also don't want to just, I just want to be a little competitive now.
I'll say this about Nolan, though. Even though when things get rough for his teams, he always finds a way to, win games and, come back. You know what I mean? Like, in our TFL league, Nolan started, 2-6 or something like that, and then finished the season 7-7.
Like that 5 in a row, is that right?
And then last year I was the only team ever to start 6-2 and finish 5-9. So just let the record show.
Have we actually talked about that on here?
No, and I think it's total bullshit, personally.
Well, I mean, I want to, what's your, give me a timeline of events, or what's your perspective on that? Because that was crazy.
Well, I was feeling pretty nicey going into the week.
About to be 6-2.
About to be 6-2, the best start I've ever had. Things are looking up. I have playoff hopes at this point in time.
Absolutely.
And then Preston makes a few phone calls, calls Roger Goodell. He transfers him to the Live Sports Bureau. They do some calculations. And they're like, if you sell 2 more lemons, we'll give you the win. So I guess they felt bad and I can't let you have too much success over there. I know you'd like to have around 500. 6-2 is way too far above 500.
Right.
So they just took it away from me. I'm gonna be real honest. It was not a good time in my household when Live Sports Bureau ripped that from me.
It's a bad morning, I assume.
Yeah, it was not good. Probably one of the lowest points in my fantasy football career.
And that's saying something.
Yeah, that's saying something bad.
Nolan's had some rough moments. I remember being on the phone with him week 1 of 2024, watching the Jets defense absolutely blow him. That was rough.
Yeah, I'm on the phone with Taylor. It's 10 o'clock. Freedom's in bed yelling at me because I'm being too loud. And then punt return. Kick it out of bounds. Just give me a win.
Oh, man.
You said that, too.
I did. I said,
you?
kick it out of bounds. Why would you kick it to them? He was just on Hard Knocks. He looked awesome. Xavier Gibson.
Yeah.
Looked great. Yeah, he looked real great. Just ran it to the house.
Tough.
I wanted to throw my remote through my TV that night. It was not a good time.
Wasn't that such a welcome back to fantasy football moment in week 1 for that to happen?
Yeah, it's par for the course, though. I mean, not much changes. But this year's going to be different. We're going to win the Cup.
Yeah, we are.
In convincing fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm making the playoffs in TFFL.
Love
You heard it here first.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. I stand with Toto.
Yeah. Thanks, Dorothy.
Speaking of the Cup, I don't know if we officially decided when this will be released or how much we're gonna discuss, but Taylor, why don't you tell everybody kind of the whole point of this weekend? What exactly did you invite us up here to do?
Well, other than we had a couple showers together and spent some time in our slumber party bags, sleeping down here together.
For sure.
Looking up at the stars and just kind of staying close together for warmth down here in this basement. We played a little bit of golf. We wanted to get on the podcast, have a little fun. The boys have never been up to Omaha, so I wanted to show them what it's like up here, and hopefully it'll be a yearly thing, and maybe we can get the whole league up here at some point and do something fun up here. That'd be cool.
Yeah. a potential future draft? I know you've hosted before, so it might be a bit, but you've got a pretty nice place to be able to do it, and that's an understatement. I mean, this would be the perfect place to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, we just built a new house, and we moved in literally on last Friday, which was June 27th. So today is July 2nd that we're recording this. So we haven't been here that long, got a bunch of stuff to still unpack, but it was kind of the only time that it worked for everybody to come up here. So you guys got to see this place as kind of a mess, kind of a project, got a lot of things going on, fence getting built back outside, things like that.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about it, but it's obviously very awesome of you guys to not only have us up here and host us, but like literally right when you guys moved in and you're still kind of unpacking and stuff. That's cool of you and Maddie both to do. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, more cool of her to do. She's the pregnant one upstairs. So
yeah. What a trooper.
Yeah,
we played a little golf. So me, Nolan, Cam, we so Terry, my dad, came down and visited. Came down for the UFC pay-per-view, and we played some golf there in Eldon in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
So we had like a
2-hour delay,
a little over 2-hour delay. Then we finally were able to play. It's cart path only. It's soaking wet everywhere. It poured the entire time. I think we had like maybe a 2 or 3 hole stretch where it like let up, where there was a little bit of sunshine, but it rained on us the whole time. And I think we were there pretty. It was like 7.5 hours or something like that.
It was a very long time.
But I mean, I don't know how much we want to reveal, but we actually played some pretty good golf. So everybody in the group has been kind of wondering what all the pairings were and the results and stuff like that. So we kind of the whole point was basically he was going to come down and play with us, and then me, Cam, and Nolan on our way to stay with Taylor stopped in Kansas City and played with him. So we wanted to just try to mix up the pairings as much as we could and kind of played a bunch of 9-hole matches where we were mixing up and just kind of seeing what that would look like. And I think we ultimately decided, we decided this hours ago. Like Taylor said, it's Wednesday, July 2nd, but it's going to be Nolan and Terry, and then it's going to be Taylor and Cam. So I got Taylor and Cam right here. How do you guys feel about being partners?
we're gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. We complement each other's game pretty well. This year, I've actually been focusing way more on golf and bettering my game, and I think certain aspects of it complement Taylor really well with his game. And I mean, him alone can just fucking carry me. So, but we're both playing really good golf and excited.
Yeah, today was actually more of Cam carrying me. He was a fairway finder over and over and over. And actually, when we had talked previously, it was like, hey, Cam has a really good short game. Taylor, you can drive the ball a long way. Well, today I wasn't driving it, but I was chipping pretty well. I felt pretty good about my chipping. I was pretty dialed. And just throwing darts at the greens. And Cam necessarily wasn't having the greatest short game day. So even when we're not doing what we usually do the best, we were still complimenting each other. So I think we'll be good. We're going to have good vibes. We're definitely not going to get pissy with each other or anything like that. We're going to keep it fun, keep it light. So.
I think that's my favorite part about your guys' pairings. Mm-hmm. Like today, I mean, you guys had stretches where you both didn't play well and you both played great, but like you were equally fun to play with the whole time. And I mean, like obviously get, kind of upset with yourself, but like able to keep it together because you guys are close and kind of match each other.
I only threw my club like 3 times.
Yeah, that's really not that
gotta
bad.
keep our composure. Anybody freaking out there?
Nolan, what about you? I know Terry's not here, but same question. Kind of how do you feel about the way this went and your partner?
I'm excited. I thought it was awesome. It was really fun to play with Terry out on the course, both at Eldon and also up there in Kansas City. It was a good time. Kind of like Cameron said,
Cam.
I think we complement each other's games very well. I feel like I can gain a lot of distance off the tee as long as I keep it in play. Terry's pretty good around the greens. I felt like we played really good together, especially in Eldon. To be honest, I don't really think we played that well together in Kansas City. More so on the first 4 or 5 holes. They were pretty rough, got off to a rough start, but then we finished pretty strong. So I think it's looking up for Team Peyton here. And I'm definitely excited for the Cup August 31st.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, you guys didn't play your best round in Cam's had a few alcoholic beverages that he's in the next room over with the giggles if you can't.
He's making another one.
He's making more. He's drinking an entire 2-liter of Mountain Dew today, actually, and he's now opened up a 2-liter of 7-Up. But back to what we were talking about. Nolan and Terry, I didn't think you guys played, like you said, you didn't play up to par in Kansas City, but you guys played fantastic in the rain. I'll leak that you two beat me and Cameron in our 9-hole match. It came all the way down to 18. Nolan hit a big putt to force us to have to make a shorter putt that had a lot of rake, and we missed it. So, I think that pairing is strong, and I really like the way that it was tough. Truly, like me and Dan have texted a lot. I know we go back and forth, but we've talked about how tough it is just with pairing guys together and trying to figure out what the other captain's going to do and how everybody's going to play at the Cup. But ultimately, I like that it was a tough decision to make because I think that we all showed a lot of promise over these last few rounds that we played together. But we had to come to a decision at some point, and that's what it's going to be. So, what are you guys thinking Dan does? Who do you think is Damon's partner from what you? Who do you think it? I don't want to open up camp. Who do you think it will be? Who would you pair if you were him?
I personally think that the pairing is going to be Damon and Preston, and then Tony and Miles. If I'm Dan, I think that's the best pairing. Preston, I think the best part about his game right now is probably his short game. I think Damon can make it competitive.
I want to jump in. I want to pull up PMAC and actually talk about PMAC. Just sorry to interrupt you here, Cam.
Yep.
I think the best part about Preston's game is probably his sock game.
I agree.
That's an underrated part. I agree for sure.
Yep.
And that's going to have a big impact. That's intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
That his partner's going to be feeling good. Look at those socks, baby.
What's the limits?
and to go back to the Tony and the Miles pairing, what's good about that is those two get to ride in the same cart. They get to send you shitty low ball offers all day while they're playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, like I said, those two will go really well together.
Look, I don't care what the pairings are that they choose. We're going to beat them. This shit's easy. We're over here relaxed. We ain't worried about a thing.
Yeah, I kind of tend to think it might be Damon and Miles on the sheer fact that Damon and Miles have beat me and Nolan twice. And I think at this point, most of Team Dan assumes the pairings will be Nolan and Taylor. And maybe in Dan's mind, he assumes, or he kind of thinks Nolan Taylor is similar to Nolan and me. So that's kind of why I think, and I'm maybe kind of worried about Tony and Miles riding around with each other. And he's seen Tony and Preston play together as well. That's about the only thing he's done as a captain. That's the only group he's seen play.
Yeah. Because
he's a horrible captain, but unlike me. But that's the only group he's seen play together and play pretty well, against himself, which is easy to do. But that's what I think the pairing's going to be. But I agree with Cam. I think we're in a good spot. We'll have those guys on here and let them kind of talk their shit a little bit. But no, I think we're in a good spot.
Yep.
Taylor Burrow looking to play a little more golf this summer than normal, he says.
Yeah, it's been so busy, man. I worked summer school, was coaching baseball, just finished up with that, and then, like I said, with the new house stuff. So lots of stuff going on. So hopefully we'll get some time here. It'll open up. We're going on 2 vacations. We're going to Florida and then going down to the lake. So we'll find some time to get about probably 3 to 4 more rounds in before that big match and get dialed.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All jokes aside, I think it'll be a highly competitive match, August 31st.
For sure.
There will not be much room for error. We're going to have to be pretty sharp with your golf game. It'll be fun. Maybe a little chippy at times, but I think all in all it'll be a great day on the golf course.
Like you said, chippy, I've been wondering this whole time. Because the 5-on-5s were very... we didn't see the other team play. It was very, loose and relaxed. Kind of a fun way to start, the draft day or the draft weekend. But now I kind of wonder if it'll be all business, if it'll be joking around, if it'll get, actually chippy. What do you guys think?
Well, I've already started talking shit to Miles and Tony, so if they hear this, they're gonna get pissy, and then
Right.
hopefully we talk a little shit. But you guys already know in this league, it's all love. I really enjoy being in this league, and I appreciate you guys including me. I know I'm kind of the outsider being up here in Omaha, 6 hours away from most of you. So, it's a lot of fun to be a part of this group.
We're glad to have you, man.
For sure. It is a long drive. I can't believe you make it
Dude,
every year for the
yeah,
draft.
to
It's
that now.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's longer when you play golf in the middle of it, but it was
A
still
lot,
I mean,
a lot of
it's still a long
cornfields
drive.
just everywhere. Kind of boring.
You guys ever played Drowned Cow?
No.
No Drowned Cow? That's a good card game. Me and Matty will play it every now and then. I'll explain the rules real quick so you guys can maybe do it on your next car ride. The point is to stack up the most amount of cows. So every time you see cow, you say cow. And you get a cow point. So if I say cow, I have cow point. You say cow, you'd have a point. I see a body of water. This could be a lake. This could be a pond. You can do rivers and streams if you want. I would recommend not. I say drowned cow. Drowns one of your cows. So then you just keep going there.
Okay.
And it's, you're just on the lookout for ponds and cows. And it's, it sounds stupid, but you'll end up playing it for like 6 hours when you don't know you're playing it because you're having other conversations, doing other things, and you see cow, and cow,
Yeah.
drowned cow. So,
You guys can play that on the way home while I watch Love Island on my phone like I did on the way up here.
oh God.
I'll be blacked out singing karaoke.
That is a true statement. Cam was in his karaoke bag on the way up here while
was.
Peyton was listening to Love Island. I was listening to Cam sing his heart out, and it was great.
Cam,
And
did
then
you get
when
drunk
I
last
got
night?
here last night, Taylor helped helped fuel me,
I facilitated the infusion of alcohol into his bloodstream.
and honestly, it was bits and moments last night.
It was very entertaining.
It was
I will
great.
say,
It was a good
I know there's
time.
been some photos and some videos leak to the group. Maybe from Cameron, maybe not actually from Cameron. But that is pretty much just the tip of the iceberg.
There was much worse things I chose not to send to the group. You're welcome.
Yes, I
Thank
would
you.
agree with that. But part 2 of that is tonight. Right after we stop recording, we're just going to start fueling Cam with all kinds of substances.
And we may record at midnight. Who knows?
I said I was gonna.
We'll just
keep
re-record
a
after
nice
everybody's lit.
pace tonight,
Except for
but
Peyton.
Clearly, that's
Except
not
for
gonna
me.
happen. So wish me luck.
Except for me. I'm straight edge, only water. Dan don't want a piece of healthy 199-pound me.
And I didn't contribute to that because tonight I made an unhealthy dinner. Buffalo chicken pasta. Unhealthy. Very tasty.
But it was awesome.
Very,
It
very
was
good.
delicious.
Probably the best thing I've ever eaten. And it may just because I'm starving to death all the time.
It's not a
It's very
salad.
good.
And I'm not even a big pasta fan, but I would eat that a lot. Probably.
Scouts already asked me if I'll ask you for the recipe so
Oh.
we can make it.
Super easy. I'll tell everybody. It's you just like I make buffalo chicken dip, and I use canned chicken just because it's so convenient and easy. Drain that water, put that in a pot, put 2 blocks of cream cheese, a little bit of shredded cheese, buffalo sauce, mix it together, make some pasta, mix all that together, put it in the pan, cover it with cheese, bake it till the cheese is done on top, and that's it. Super easy, super good. Made it in college a lot.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. Anything else about TDL or golf that you guys feel like you got to get off your chest?
I do. I would like to talk to Damon specifically. So if you're not Damon, you can skip the next 45 seconds to a minute. I just want to say,
You're going to say 45 minutes.
yeah, I've got a monologue
Listen
I've written
up,
for you, Damon. And this is about a lot of things, but mostly it's about the first trade in TDL history, and that was cool that we got to make that. It was pretty fitting because we made a lot of trades in the past in the TFFL league. So I want to say, because I've heard that you told people you didn't know there was going to be a first involved. Well, here's the thing about that trade is we weren't talking about that trade over Snapchat or text. It was just I sent it. I was sending kind of a lot of feelers out to people. And Damon looks at the trade. It's not like anything's hidden on what you're sending, what you're getting. He pressed accept. And then he says to you that he didn't know there was a first there. So I don't feel like getting called names for saying that I was trying to cheat anybody. I just sent a regular trade. And I also look back at that trade. I don't think that it really was a win or a loss. I know I said that right afterwards, and Peyton mentioned that on the on the TDL podcast video, but I feel like it was pretty fair for both sides.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, very interesting if he didn't see the first or not. But either way, I don't think it was like an egregious trade either direction, in my opinion. What do you guys think of the big blockbuster trade that just went down the other day involving me? If you think I got fleeced, you can say it. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But
I was one of the ones that voted in favor of Jamie on that. I think it's not like a fleece or nothing like that by any means, but I just look at the draft capital that this guy's got here, and then plus the team he's still got. I mean, you sent him players too on top of all that, so I'm like, I love that all day. Like, I'd rather be on his side of it than the Jamar Chase. But, you know, the way your team's set up, like, you can afford to do that, and, you know, you can go out and win this thing now. But for me, yeah, I just see all that draft capital plus the 2 guys he sent. I love that all day.
Yeah.
To say I'm on the opposite side. I mean, you can throw that trade and keep trade cut, and I didn't actually, so I don't know what the exact what it looks like. Look pretty even. And sometimes they say they're pretty even. In my opinion, that's probably a little bit more lopsided towards Peyton's side because, sure, you gave up some draft capital, but he got an absolute stud in Chase. That's a guy that can win you multiple weeks in a season. And if you look at his roster, I said earlier to the guys that I feel like I have one of the better wide receiver rooms, but looking at Peyton's, it's definitely not better than his with Drake London, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. I mean, in my opinion, those are 3 probably top 6-ish wide receivers in Dynasty, depending on how Michael Penix turns out for Drake London. So, I mean, it's definitely 1 and 2 with Chase and JJ. So that's huge just to have those 2 guys. They're going to be able to carry you through seasons because they're young and they have consistently been top wide receivers for years now.
Right. And that's kind of where my thinking was. You know, if you played in the Miles League, I did win it both years that it existed, and I did have Jefferson and Chase both. So I'm looking to kind of recreate a little bit of magic there. I gave up way more than I wanted. You know, I know Preston was kind of complaining a little bit, but me and Jamie were going back and forth for pretty close to 2 weeks. I could probably pull it back up and go look at what the initial offer was, but it wasn't nearly that much. But just kind of Jamie explaining his side of why he wanted to keep Chase and Amon-Ra, which made a lot of sense. So, you know, I eventually just got to a point where I had to make a deal that I was prepared to lose. And I said that on one of the other podcasts that if you're getting the best player in the deal, I think you probably should lose the trade, you know, quote unquote, if you put it into a calculator or something like that. So I knew that on paper I may look like I lose it, but, you know, for me, I didn't lose any of the core pieces of my team right now. I like Zay Flowers and I like Jaden Higgins, but they're not guys that I was counting on a ton, especially when you bring in Jamar Chase. So I was glad that I was able to get it done really without having to include London was the main one I didn't want to have to, or a quarterback. I wouldn't have been surprised if he asked for either of those. So I had to throw in enough picks where he didn't want to ask for that stuff. That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I like it, man. Yeah. You did good for your team. And then just like you said, having the Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase stack, like that's insane.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as the CD Lamb and Malik Neighbors stack.
It is a really good stack.
Ooh, yeah,
We got some good wide receiver rooms in here today.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Brian Thomas Jr. and
Jordan Addison.
Jamison Williams, who's on the trade block.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. What are you looking for out of him? I mean, what's your style of trade?
Don't know.
Is he a guy you're looking to get some picks for?
Uh,
Maybe looking to put a pick together to get a more of a a certified
I'd
stud?
like to package him with picks and or another player to upgrade at receiver.
Yeah.
Or Jordan Addison, I could trade him too. One of those 2.
Yeah.
Or if I'm blown away, Brian Thomas Jr. could be on the block.
Yeah.
Or something good.
I may need to. My wide receiver room's looking a little thin. I may need to try that. I think I have a draft pick or 2 left I could send you.
Send you 2 third-rounders for him.
I'll pass on that one.
I'll give you the birthrights to the 2041 third-round pick in exchange for Brian Thomas.
I don't have enough money to pay through that many years.
It would be me.
Cam, I'm going to offer you an
Yeah.
official trade offer right here on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Let's hear
This
it.
is the first one ever.
Baby Burrow, born in 2025, November. Could be named Cam.
I thought you were going to trade your baby.
Oh, the baby's on the
If
move.
you send me CeeDee Lamb, you could have the complete naming rights. It would be Cam Preston Burrow.
You can't leave Preston.
Well, for those of you that are new
that kid's
and don't
cooked,
know, there was a trade offer a long time ago in the TFFL to Preston that involved possible future naming rights for my child, which he declined, which didn't help me. It actually, if he would have made that trade, I would have made the playoffs, but so, neither here nor there. It was a week that didn't matter to him because he was going to make the playoffs either way.
Does Preston Burrow, does that roll off the tongue to you, or Cam Burrow?
No, they both
Burrow
sound like
is
shit
decent.
to me. I just, it's for the squad, and my kid will know that.
You'll understand.
Someday, my son will be in the TDL making stupid trades, and I'm going to have to pay for them through 2028 because they want to send Joe Burrow for 3 first-round picks and a Kyler Murray. I know I'll be in that situation someday. I'll do my best to keep them away from Bo so he doesn't give them any of his fantasy knowledge.
We've not done a podcast since your breaking news, Nolan, but
that's
it is
true.
Facebook official. Nolan's
Yes.
pregnant.
I am.
Congratulations.
How does it feel to be pregnant?
It's quite the change. Challenging some days. A lot of naps.
Yeah.
Low energy. Things like that.
Yeah.
Low T.
Well, sure, if you're into that sort of thing.
You guys, future fathers, you guys pretty excited?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a cliche question. But.
Pretty cool. We're going to have 3 new additions to the TFFL, TDL family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Daniel's baby coming.
Yeah.
We'll have an extension of the TFFL, TDL world, so that'll be awesome.
It's crazy that, like, the whole league's fired up for golf. Testosterone's high. We're starting to pump out babies. Like, stuff. We're, like, on the upswing
We
here
are.
compared to how we started.
We need to submit our story to, like, ESPN or something and get featured.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Adam Rank is our little shoe in the door, or
Yeah,
foot in the door there.
We're once removed from ESPN.
You know what I think we need is we have the podcast, we have the YouTube channel. We could really use a social media where maybe we just clip some of the things that, because we can't post the whole thing to online where it's accessible, because some of us are teachers and have jobs that would, things like this would get us in trouble. But if you had a social media, you could post clips, you could post trades, breaking news, things like that on there. I know we kind of use the group chat for that. But it could be cool.
Though. Mm-hmm. It would be cool. I've actually thought about a Twitter before.
Yeah.
That would be neat. We'll see. I tend to get bored in the summer and do weird stuff like that, so it could happen at some point. You know, because I am one of the teachers he mentioned, so not a lot going on for me until, about late August. So.
Do you have a lot going on in August and September? It looks like every time you Snapchat me, you're just playing music and sitting behind
I'm pretty
your
much
desk.
just playing music and sitting by the desk most of the time.
We really don't do a whole lot from the hours of 8 to 3. It's mostly from 3 to 5 that we put in our work.
My classroom's autonomous, man. The kids, they just want to learn and they just want to do the work themselves. And I'm like, who am I to stand in the way? I'll be over here if you need me, playing rock music.
Pink Pony Club.
Pink Pony Club. Oh, yeah. We have a good classroom playlist. Me and Nolan share, actually, on Apple Music. We got like 400 or something like that songs on it right now. We need to update it with some summer stuff. Morgan Wallen's new album, stuff like that. But the kids like it. So, anything else, TDL or golf, before we roll into something else?
I think
we're ready.
I think we're ready to move on. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You guys want to run a little TFFL style mock?
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Let's do it.
You want me to set it up, or you got it, Taylor?
You know what? I'm gonna have to. My phone died, so I'm gonna have to connect to somebody's hotspot on this computer, if that would be possible.
Yeah. Try mine here. Unless somebody's got a better one.
If you just want to direct message me that link, that way I can access it on here.
I don't know how to do that.
Is it gonna mess this up if I connect to your phone?
No, you should be good.
Okay.
Yeah. This is riveting for the listeners, I'm sure. You guys, did somebody want to do a little random wheel spin? We'll figure out where we're going to pick. Is that cool?
Yeah.
That way we don't, I don't know. We don't know our draft order yet. We're close.
I'll pull up a wheel.
From the time this releases, that'll be about a.
Why don't we walk over to the shuffleboard table so you can get the closest to the end
We could
without
do that.
falling off?
That's fine. And then we'll just pick. We get to pick from there.
Yep.
Yeah, you get to
Let's
pick
do
your
it.
spot.
Ooh, I don't know that I want to reveal. I may have to go against my grain here. I'll stay over here by the microphone so I can talk. Taylor Burrow up first. Off the end. On his own shuffleboard in his own house. Cam. Ooh.
That's gonna be tough to beat.
3 points right in the middle too. Gonna be tough to beat.
Wow.
Nolan knocks him off and stays on the edge.
Do it to him.
Oh, I missed.
Boom.
Okay, so how do the rest of us
All right, I
pick?
go second.
I'll go last.
I'll go last.
You sure?
I'll go second. Cam with the quick trigger, he's going second.
I was on that board.
So assuming we're gonna have a 10-team
Yeah, 10
redraft,
Yep.
Yeah.
single quarterback, single flex, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, single tight end.
You guys
Just
think
half
it'd be
PPR.
crazy for like a Josh Allen to go at the end of second round
In
in our league?
I don't.
I mean, with how like effective QB is in our league, I'd be.
That's one. Our league has been a little bit different with that.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion has changed because you might have seen my draft strategy in the last couple of years. If you have a good quarterback in this league, for some reason, it makes such a big difference, and
It does, dude.
and you tend to get a lot of offers too on those high level quarterbacks, like a ton. So, yeah, I really do think that it's not a reach to get Josh Allen like end of the second round
Yeah.
if we're doing a TFFL mock.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if I were to end up like on the back half of the draft again, like 7 or something, I may just pull the trigger on Josh Allen. So
I invited you guys on Sleeper, and then I texted it to you all as
So
well.
do we just kind of want to pick where we want to
Sure.
draft it right here? So Nolan, you go first. I'll go second.
Or you could spin the wheel if you don't want to reveal.
Do you send this to us on Sleeper?
I texted yours to you because it didn't show your name on Sleeper.
I got nothing.
Nothing? No, it's not gone through yet. It's not gone through to anybody yet.
I got it.
You did,
yeah,
yeah?
I got it on Sleeper.
Can you see if you can invite Nolan on Sleeper?
Okay.
It didn't show Nolan's name on
Yeah,
it for
let
some
me-
reason.
Let me see. Oh my gosh. Trying to select everybody. There we go. Okay, let me send this over to you real quick.
You know, one thing we didn't get to talk about was the riveting 2K games we've had.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
those of you keeping score at home, I'm 2-0 in
Yes.
the Burrow residence.
And I've gotten BTA in my own home. Got a buzzer beater against me by Cam.
Yeah.
No
Just
one, I
an
think,
absolute ass whooping in the fourth quarter.
It just kind of fell apart in the fourth, yeah.
Yeah.
It was close all the way up until then.
Me and Nolan had a tight one, and I got Steven Adams'd. There's really nothing else to say.
Yeah, it was tough.
Steven Adams came in and did his thing he usually does at the end of the game. You know, against legends like Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. Has anybody got this invite?
Yep, I have claimed the 2 spot.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, Cam, you're next.
All right.
I already know what spot I'm going to take.
I'm gonna do.
If you know me, you might know I have a special place in my heart for
I'm
this
gonna
if it
pick.
falls to me.
I'm gonna pick 7.
I was going to pick what Taylor was going to pick, but I decided to go 2.
Am I next?
Yep.
I'm going to spin a wheel or a random number generator if it'll work. What number did you pick?
7.
And it came up 7.
It just won't work at this point. Where are you guys at? 2 and 7?
Yep.
Yeah.
Taylor's gonna go 8. I'll go 5. I'll go right in the middle.
I'm going to go ahead and claim 8 because Adam Rank told me it was the worst spot and that I had the least chance of winning the league that year. And I didn't win the league, but I set the record for most wins in a season. And that was definitely by far my best year. And so anytime I get the chance, I'm going to take 8 because I feel like that's kind of my lucky fantasy football number now.
The answer is 8.
The answer is 8. So I can't get it to work on my phone. I don't know if it's because if it's because you're connected to my hotspot or what the deal is. But it's not letting me.
Here, I'm gonna switch over to my phone's hotspot. I went and got a charger, so
Okay. So I can shut mine off.
yeah, I can disconnect
Okay,
it now.
I'll do that. What did I say? I was going to be 5. Okay, it did work that time.
Yep.
Are we all in here?
Yep. We.
I am not. Give me just a second.
Okay. You're the last one anyway, so I can probably go ahead and start, can I? I'll just pause it if it gets to you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and press start on this sucker.
Sure.
Oh, my.
Wait, what?
Jameer Gibbs goes first, and it's Nolan on the clock at 2.
Is that realistic?
It happened.
Okay.
It's realistic if Miles has the first overall pick.
This is true. Oh.
Nolan, who'd you take?
I took Bijan. Start off running back here.
Okay.
Gibbs, Bijan, Jay Jettis goes 3. Saquon Barkley goes 4. I don't think there's any reason to talk about this. I just traded for this guy, and this won't happen in our draft. But I'm going to go ahead and take Jamar Chase at 5 because he's there and he's awesome, and he's reigning Triple Crown winner.
I like it.
CeeDee Lamb goes 6, and Cam Even is on the board at 107.
Well,
What are you
sitting
thinking?
at the 7th spot here, usually I like to try to get like a guy that I know is going to fucking just constantly get me points every week.
It's a good idea.
Which was Jamar Chase last year, which I got real lucky with his performances week to week. He carried me quite a bit. So I got Amon-Ra, Puka, and Neighbors sitting here staring at me, and I think I'm gonna go Amon-Ra here.
I like it.
I think
I
that's a
think
good
I
pick.
think he's
Yeah,
kind of
that's a good
just
pick.
the guy this year for him.
Yeah, Amon-Ra was sitting there. I like him a lot. This is a TFFL draft, so I've really been in such a dynasty mode that I haven't really paid attention enough to redraft, really. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. Normally I like to start off my drafts with probably a wide receiver, or something like that. I'm going to go a running back here and kind of change things up and see how that works for me.
Yep.
I don't think I've done any TFFL mock drafts, and usually by now I've at least done 10. So I'm sure I'll get plenty more here as the season approaches, but I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey with the 8th overall pick, and hopefully he can stay healthy.
Fun fact, the last person who drafted him won the championship.
Wow. That's true, yeah.
That's true. Malik Neighbors and Nico Collins round out the first round, and then Derrick Henry, Drake London kick off round number 2.
So I'm going to do something also a little crazy. Like I said, I usually go wide receiver. I've kind of come to learn that wide receivers can tend to be a dime a dozen, and there can be a lot more of these positions where, like tight end, running back, quarterback, they go quicker and like they're kind of those onesie positions. So I'm going to go here with Brock Bowers and get a top tight end. I think the top tight end in fantasy, and we'll see.
I can tell you listen to the fantasy footballers by saying onesie position.
Yeah, I do.
that.
I'm a big fantasy footballers guy.
like
I
those
listen to
guys.
them as much as I can. It used to be I could listen to them all the time on my way to work and back. But now Maddie and I work at the same school. So she's like, I'm not listening to that fantasy football podcast. So now I'll listen to it like in my office in the morning, or like if I'm doing like a morning duty sitting out at the crosswalk or something. I got one AirPod in.
If I'm doing a morning duty, is maybe the funniest.
Trying not to let kids get hit in the crosswalk, and also getting some fantasy football knowledge.
Yeah, that's the best time. Cam Even, who you got?
Well, I think anybody right now with the guys available, they're probably going to take one of these stud wide receivers here and get that good lad right next to Amon-Ra here. But I'm going to switch it up a little bit, just the way our league works. QB is so dominant. Josh Allen's sitting here.
Yeah, saw that
I'm
coming.
going to take him.
He primed it with the question earlier, and then boom, stuck it home. So he takes Josh Allen. Puka Nacua goes next. So it's back to me. I have Jamar Chase. I'm probably not taking quarterback or tight end. I like to have one of the upper tier ones, but I usually don't like to take them super early. I kind of always try to get the last of the elite ones in my mind is the way I try to play it. I don't really have a preference as far as double receiver running back, 2 running backs. Like I think I mentioned it before, but I would just take the player that's highest ranked on my board here regardless. So just kind of looking at some names here, Brian Thomas jumps out at me. A.J. Brown jumps out at me as well. Running backs, Devon Achane, Ashton Genty would be an interesting one. Kind of looking, I think this is probably obvious, but, I had Devon Achane last year. I loved having him. They just traded Jonnu Smith. I don't think Darren Waller will steal targets from Devon Achane, at least not as many as Jonnu Smith did. So I am going to go ahead and take Devon Achane on the premises that he likely catches a bunch of passes and, continues to have that kind of home run ability. So Brian Thomas Jr. and A.J. Brown, 2 names I mentioned, go next, and it's back to Mr. Lapardis.
This one is a little tougher to pick here because I was going to try and go quarterback here, but Cam took Josh Allen. So, looking at the board, we have Ashton Genty, Bucky Irving, Trey McBride. So, having Bijan first, I think I'm going to do something crazy here, and I think I'm going to take a tight end, and I think I'm going to pull the trigger on Trey McBride.
Nice.
I like it. JSN and Genty go at the 2-3 turn, and it's back to you again.
Now, I think, do I want to take Lamar Jackson? Because he would probably be the best quarterback option at the moment. But I think we're going to go with Lad McConkey.
Good call, Taylor.
I had him taking him in the second, so I was just off. He fell to him back in the third. I thought Lad was going to be his guy. And then, honestly, if I was you, Nolan, I really think I would have gone with Lamar. I know you kind of teased that idea. I think Bijan, Trey, and then Lamar, such a great start. And that if you could just go heavy wide receiver from there on, that could be a really, really good team.
I would agree.
It's something me and Preston have talked about before. With from that point, you could make the argument for yourself that you have the best player at 3 positions. You would probably think you have the QB1, tight end 1, and running back. Even though you didn't, it would, maybe 1 or 2, but you have guys that you think could finish as the 1. But it's kind of risky because it doesn't leave you much room for error either. So back to me here. I have Chase and Achane. Obviously Lamar Jackson jumps out at me, but I do want to try to be a little bit different than I did, last year and with the last mock as well. So I'm going to try to get outside my comfort zone just a little bit. Like I said, I usually would take the highest ranked player on my board, but I think I naturally would want to take a receiver here. But I like the names that are at running back a little bit better. Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor. But I think the one that I'm going to take is a guy that, he seems to be kind of underrated in fantasy. Running back 6, running back 7 the last 2 years. 2 years ago scored 15 touchdowns. Last year scored 16. I don't really think he has much competition. He's on a great offense. I'm going to go ahead and take none other than Mr. Kyron Williams.
That's a great pick. So
Great pick.
I know Cam is upset, and I am too. That's exactly who I was kind of eyeballing there, getting excited that he might make it to me.
Sorry, fellas. Tyreek goes next, and now Cam has a chance to make his pick.
Well, the way this draft is going right now, things are looking great. I was hoping to get Kyron Williams there. That is what would be a solid running back one for me, but since he's gone, I think we're going to go with the next best thing in Bucky Irving, who is an absolute dog.
Yeah, I was looking there, and what's fun about mock drafts is you can do as much prep as you want, but when we get to the actual draft, it's not going to go anything like this.
Right.
No.
It's fun to practice, and then we get closer to the year, and we know who has what pick, and everybody kind of has their idea of what the first round's going to look like, and then someone pulls something crazy and drafts Bijan with the 3rd overall pick. So it's never going to go how we think it's going to go, but it is fun to kind of strategize. And so I really was looking forward to Kyron falling to me and then maybe getting one of these quarterbacks later, maybe in the 4th round. If team 9 and 10 let him pass, I'm gonna snag Lamar right now. That's gonna be my guy there. So I go running back, tight end, quarterback, and then I'll be looking at wide receivers as we get around this turn.
Kind of that build we just talked about, where in your mind you have a guy that McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, you probably expect him to be the RB1. Bowers, you obviously expect, and Lamar, obviously has that ability to be a top 1 or 2 guy. So that's got to be a good feeling.
Yep, and then there goes Jaden Daniels, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, and Terry McLaurin at the turn. Back to me. There's some good running backs on the board. Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Kamara, Mixon. There's decent wide receivers. Marvin Harrison, Mike Evans, Devontae, Rashee Rice, all those guys there at the top. I think I'm going to have to take the guy with the highest upside. I think he has a huge room for improvement this year. I think he could really jump up, and that's going to be Marvin Harrison. I think he could really explode. And if he does, and he can be a top 10 wide receiver that I get in the 4th round, that would be huge.
Man, I wanted to pair him alongside Amon-Ra so bad.
Is that your real pick, or is that Kyler Murray TDL propaganda?
No. I really do like Marvin. I don't know if I like Marvin as much as Tony likes Marvin, because Tony really thinks that he's the next JJ, and I don't know if he's the next JJ. I think he's probably going to sit somewhere in that 6 to 8 range in terms of dynasty wide receiver for a long time. I just don't think he's ever going to be the one that people thought he was going to be.
Right. Cam, you're next.
Well, I was looking at it, and everything in me wants to draft Breece Hall or Chase Brown right here, but I'm going to take a little out of your guys' book, and I think I'm going to go tight end here.
Dang.
I'm going to go George Kittle here. I mean, with the way that offense is, I'm pretty sure, I think Ayuk's hurt. I think they got another guy that's hurt too, and so I think Kittle's just going to be an absolute dog. So
yeah,
better take him right here before he gets no fat lesbian there anymore. So
that's a great pick. That's who I was hoping made it back to me. Breece Hall goes next. One of the other names Cam mentioned. It's back to me. So I got Chase, and then I have Achane and Kyron. So 2 running backs and a receiver. Was hoping Kittle made it all the way back to me. Now, I don't think that there's a tight end in this range that I like. There's names that I like, but I don't want to take them here. Looking at quarterbacks, this is, like I said, I feel like I like to take the last of the elite quarterbacks or tight ends. And, at this point, I feel like this is a point in the draft where in my mind there's 1 elite quarterback left. Some would argue 2. Some would argue 3, but they're idiots. But a lot of these people in this group probably would. That would be Patrick Mahomes, who's fucking horrible. But I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Hurts, man. Because he's a world champion. He granted me a kiss on my ass at some point. I got to repay him.
Nice.
Good pick. I was hoping you would take Joe Burrow there to stack with Jamar Chase.
Thought about it, but I don't like Burrow.
Since this is a TFFL...
Something against Burrows.
Wow.
Since this is TFFL, quarterbacks tend to go pretty quickly. So, just for the fun of it, I'm going to pull the trigger on Joe Burrow.
I like it. So James Cook, Chase Brown went, and then Nolan took Burrow, and then Devontae and Alvin Kamara at the turn. Back to Nolan.
Now, I think...
Yeah, when you were up there, Peyton, I had to point my screen over at Nolan and point who I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Hurts because I know that you and Spencer love to. How do the kids say you guys glaze the out of that man?
I would be honored to glaze Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
All right, back to drafting.
Huge pause.
Yeah, major pause.
I may have overstepped with that one.
So back to round 5. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. That just really threw me for a loop.
Quite the visual, I bet, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
But I do agree with you on Patrick Mahomes. I think he's fallen off a huge cliff. I think he has the potential to go crazy every year. He has the potential to be nuclear. Mm-hmm. He just hasn't been consistent enough. Right. And I agree with that.
And just the offense doesn't really call for that anymore. It's just not really the way they operate.
They know how to get it done without having to have him throw for 400 yards a game.
Right.
And if they're winning games, then who are we to tell them to do it different?
Yeah. You get all the calls, man. Just sit on the ball.
Now is the time to take sure-handed Mike Evans, 1,000-yard receiver every
That's
year.
the easiest bet in fantasy football right there.
Yeah.
DJ Moore.
Team 4, what are they taking? That was my boy.
And Cam's boy, Omari and Hampton, go
Coached
next.
by John Harbaugh.
Team 4's got to be coached by John Harbaugh. They got Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, and Omari and Hampton. They're running the ball.
Pound the rock.
Pound the rock. So it's back to me, quarterback, 2 running backs, and a receiver. So, I'm not taking another quarterback. I will take a tight end at some point. Probably not here because there's not one that's jumping out at me that I have to have. So it'll just be my favorite, either running back or receiver. Just some names I'm kind of seeing. Running back-wise, Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner. Receivers, I like Rashee Rice here. I like DK, Sutton, Zay Flowers. This is a tough spot where I don't think anything is overly jumping out at me. But I think the one name here, as I just spent a few minutes talking absolute shit on his quarterback, the name that does jump out at me here from the receiver room that actually has the opportunity to potentially be a huge game breaker in fantasy would be Rashee Rice. But I had him last year, so I'm going to go in a different direction. I am going to stay with receiver, and I'm going to go with a guy who's got a brand new team, brand new quarterback, and what appears to be maybe a pretty decent offense if that quarterback is off the drugs and has anything left. And I'm going to go ahead and take DK Metcalf.
That ain't a brand new quarterback.
Ooh,
that quarterback's been used and abused.
Yeah. Ken Walker goes next, and Cam's up. I would use and abuse Jalen Hurts.
I'm sure you would.
I'm going to do... let's see. What do I want to do here?
Speaking of using and abusing, Cam, do you have a lady friend in your life that you want to share with the TDL podcast?
Ooh. Anyway. We love the minorities. All right. I'm gonna.
Is that an official TDL statement?
I am.
TDL, we love the minorities.
And the
We
MILFs.
do. I just draft. I don't like the way running back looks, and so I'm gonna go ahead and secure this up before they get taken out here. I only got Bucky Irving at the moment, and we are gonna take Chuba Hubbard here, old P Max boy. I like the way he played last year.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
It's a good pick.
Never mind. No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
Taylor, it's up to you.
Yeah, hey, I was looking at Chuba Hubbard and I was looking at Rashee Rice. Those were the two guys that I was going to take here. If Chuba fell to me, I was going to probably lose out on Rashee because there's no way he makes it around that turn. So I was going to look at maybe pairing like Zay Flowers with Lamar or something like that. So I'm going to take Rashee here and we'll see if one of the running backs I want, which would be like a Mixon if he fell somehow back to me. Otherwise, I'll probably end up going receiver with Harrison, Rice, and then whoever is to come here. And Mixon went immediately after I said that, followed by Sam Laporta, Cortland Sutton, T.J. Hawkinson, and I'm going to do that stack of Zay Flowers. Feel like that's a decent flex option, and then after that, I'm going to be looking for some more running backs, and I'll probably start looking in the rookies' direction to see some fresh legs here.
See, and you started running back, tight end, quarterback, but then you've hammered 3 receivers in a row, and they're guys with a lot of, at least 2 of them I think are guys with upside with Marv and Rashee Rice, and then Flowers would be kind of more of your floor guy, pairs with pairs with your quarterback and good for PPR. So I mean, I like that build a lot personally. I think that if you're going to do it that way, that's a really good way to do it. But you didn't ask. I just decided to say all that.
No, I appreciate it.
Cam, anything you want to get off your chest before you make a pick again?
Love black women. But anyways,
Another official
that's off
TDL
topic.
statement.
Okay. So I was thinking when I get back to this pick, I was gonna select wide receiver, but running back, I'm not too big on it when it comes back to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get something here. I think we're gonna take old ass James Conner.
Yeah. Also black.
We love the blacks.
Oh my god. I may not be able to put this on the internet.
Why?
We love the mother-in-laws.
We love our mothers and we love blacks. I need another drink.
Yeah, you do, Cam.
This ain't getting posted ever.
Oh my god, we're an hour and 6 minutes into this and now we have to delete it.
Just
No, I'm just kidding. It'll go out. Only like 4 people listen to it anyway.
Yeah, well, come on.
So Black James Conner goes. Patrick Mahomes, funny enough. His mom's
I think Patrick Mahomes' mom is single.
Patrick Mahomes goes next. Something in common with James Conner there. And then it's back to me. I got a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers. Am I ready to take a tight end yet? I would if there was one that I loved.
I bet you give your tight end to Jalen Hurts.
That's a good one. I can't believe I didn't even think of that. Giving me ideas. You're throwing me off my game. So let's see. 2 of each. Haven't really ranked much yet. But I'm okay with Achane and Kyron kind of anchoring my running back room, I think. There's not another running back that's jumping out at me as much. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get a little stack going on my team, and I'm going to pair Devontae Smith with Mr. Jalen Hurts.
I would consider that one of the shittiest stacks in fantasy football. I'm not gonna sugarcoat
bad.
that at all. I think that stack is terrible.
You think?
Devontae Smith does not get enough of that pie and that team. He just doesn't. It's not enough for me. So to then stack him with Hurts, who might throw 3 touchdowns to AJ Brown, might run 2 in himself, might hand it to Saquon, like just pair him with Dallas Goedert at that point.
That is one of the takes of all time for sure. And I didn't even ask. Chris Olave, David Montgomery go next, and it's back to you, Nolan.
I think I really hate to do this, but it's a mock draft, so it's not real life. But I think I'm going to take a Chiefs receiver here and go Xavier Worthy. I feel like Mike Evans can hold down the fort. Lad McConkey's going to get his in that Jim Harbaugh offense because he's obviously the clear-cut one. Xavier Worthy has a lot of big game potential, so we're going to take the Xavier Worthy route.
I like it. Pacheco goes next, following on the Pussy Chief train, and then Jalen Waddle after that, and it's Mr. Lapardis once again.
Now, I would like to get a running back here, but
they all suck.
They are not very good. So I think we're going to wait, and I think we're going to go receiver again. Well, maybe.
There's a couple good running backs here.
Yeah.
A lot of rookies that are jumping out. Like they really could break out this year. I like Judkins. I like Henderson. Harvey has a lot of hype around him.
High state bums, though.
I'm just not convinced on RJ Harvey. I want him to be good, but the stats don't lie that a running back at his age, as a rookie, has never been successful. Too. Smaller guy too. He has a lot against him. So if he's successful, great. That's awesome. But it's never happened before.
I think I'm gonna take Jerry Jeudy.
I like
Stud.
Yeah,
you had a little argument about
a while
him
to find that name.
In the TDL group, there was a little Jerry Jeudy argument the other day.
Jerry Judy's decent. I liked him coming out of college. I wish he had gone to an offense that actually used him and not the shitty Broncos.
I'm starting to like this guy less and less with each round. George Pickens and Baker Mayfield go after that, and it's back to me. This is interesting. What will I do here? Probably not taking a receiver, although Jameson Williams jumps out as somebody that I would like to have here, especially because I've been enlightened with how terrible Devontae Smith is. I feel like he doesn't even exist on my team. I'm probably just going to drop him.
Then you don't want to hear my take on Jameson Williams.
No, I don't. So I'm probably going running back, or I may go tight end. The thing is, there's a few tight ends that I wouldn't mind having. So I'm going to go running back. I'm going to go a running back that doesn't get a lot of love these days. An older guy, but should be on a really good offense. And, I don't think he really has any competition for touches, even though they just brought in Jordan Mason. I'm going to take a chance on Aaron Jones, keeping the clock turned back for one more year. Jameson Williams, goes next, and it's back to Cameron.
Thank you. Look, I'm going to be honest. My mock's pretty shit. Not enough minorities on this team, so we're going to go Chris Godwin here to add a little culture. I think that's a great pick to pair up with Amon-Ra there, considering we only had one wide receiver. So
I didn't even realize
we need to go on a good run here. I don't like taking that many running backs, but the way it was falling, I think I needed to stack up a little bit there, which we'll see.
And I need to clarify about Jameson Williams. I've actually been a Jameson Williams believer for a long time. I drafted him in a couple of dynasty leagues. He just took for freaking ever to break out and have a good year. And so I'm hoping that he continues to have a good career. It would be good for my dynasty quarterback, Jared Goff, if he ends up being really awesome. But I'm on the clock here. I've gone 3 straight receivers. I've got CMC as my only back. That's a little bit nerve-wracking. So I'm probably going to end up going 2 running backs here at this turn, and then look ahead, probably get 2 more wide receivers next turn. There's a couple wide receivers that jump out. Ted McMillan, Travis Hunter, rookie wide receivers could be good. They also just take a long time to get revved up usually. So while they're great in Dynasty, great assets to have in redraft, I am not a fan of drafting rookie wide receivers. So here I am. I'm going to go with Quinn Shawn. He's my guy. I think he's just a bust, and he's hard to tackle, so I'm going to go with him here.
Your boy R.J. Harvey goes next. Your boy Jared Goff after that. And then Jordan Addison and Ted McMillan, who you just mentioned. Back to you.
Yep, I'm going to stay on the rookie running back train. And Travion Henderson, here you go. 2 Ohio State boys that Nolan's pissed. He's giving me the stink eye.
Browns.
Alrighty.
Cammy?
So we're going to stick on the old wide receiver train here. I'm really looking at Cooper Kupp here.
Ooh.
I'm kind of interested in that. I mean, DK's gone. Tyler Lockett's gone. I know they got JSN.
Now, I do feel the need as your friend to point out, he is white.
We can get over that. I mean,
but he's over 30.
He is
He's
older.
a dilf.
Okay, and we're not taking Cooper Kupp. I think I'm going to switch it up and go Khalil Shakir. I think that's a good take.
Oh, no, I talked him out of it. I'm sorry.
2 dilfs. We got 2 dilfs in here. Nolan and I. 2 dilfs, 1 cup.
Oh.
Stay away from my cup.
Okay. Cam gets bullied into taking Khalil Shakir. Tyrone Tracy goes next, and it's back to me. I am going to take a tight end here. I don't want Jonnu Smith. He's the highest one on here, but I don't think that his ADP really reflects, obviously his recent trade. So I'm either taking Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews. I personally would lean Andrews, even though he's coming off one of the weirdest and quietest tight end 5 seasons of all time. He only had 15 targets in the red zone, and he caught 11 touchdowns. So unsustainable touchdowns, but also coming off an injury and coming off the car crash that happened. So I think that probably balances out a little bit more. But I already have, or do I? No, I don't. I don't have anybody from that offense. That's what I am going to do. I don't want to take Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey's a frustrating one. I had him.
I'm gonna take Andrews
last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just. I hated it, man. I got him in a good spot. I thought he was gonna have a good year, and it was just.
Talk about frustrating.
Awful.
The first 6 weeks for Mark Andrews were as frustrating as it gets.
Andrews was
I think
really
in a lot of
frustrating.
redraft leagues and even some dynasty leagues, he was dropped.
He was dropped in TFFL.
That is crazy.
Sad to see them at this stage.
Like I said, probably unsustainable touchdowns, but also I think he'll be back to like a little bit closer to his normal self this year, and it'll bounce. But likely is a stud too.
He is.
Yeah.
He's probably not back to tight end 1 overall like he
Yeah.
was, but he's a safe bet to finish top 5-ish, I would say.
I think, seeing as how Bijan is my only running back, I'm probably going to take one of Tony Pollard or DeAndre Swift here. I don't really know. Neither one of those offenses are super great. I think Chicago's going to have it.
I'm sorry. This is totally off topic. I just keep thinking about.
I'm going to take DeAndre Swift
Yeah.
now. Continue.
Okay, wonderful. I keep thinking about Herb Dean doing the. Doing the fucking thing.
The haka?
That haka.
That one? I'm picking up what he's putting down. You had to be there
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was not there.
as he stops the fight.
I have under the influence.
Oh, gosh.
Anyways, I took DeAndre Swift, followed by Johnny Smith and Bo Nix. As much as I really hate to do this, and probably would not in TFFL, this really goes against everything I stand for, especially with 2 of them on my team. I think I'm going to have to take Travis Kelce.
Wow.
Interesting.
I really like
mock
your
purposes.
DeAndre Swift pick. You were between him and Pollard. I think that's the better choice. They didn't really get a whole lot of draft capital spent on running backs. Kyle Monangai, maybe, could be a guy. I think Roshan Johnson is done. I really liked him out of college, but 2 years in, I'm not impressed. He's not done anything. He'll be a special teamer, and Monangai will be that next guy.
It's back to me. After Nolan took Kelsey, Travis Hunter, and then Tony Pollard went. Pollard is who I was hoping to take there, but that's okay. So I have a quarterback and a tight end. I'm not taking any more of those. I got 3 running backs, 3 receivers. We got 4 rounds left, so I'm pretty much just hammering those the rest of the way. At this point in the draft, I tend to lean upside a little bit more than, safer picks, and that's got me in trouble before. But I'm going to go off a similar line Cam was talking about earlier, and I'm going to take Cooper Kupp and hope that he's got something left in the tank.
I like it.
Because he could be, we could look really dumb for him falling in the 9th round, or I could look like an idiot taking a wash bum that's going to be hurt after a couple weeks. So Roma Dunze goes next, and it's back to Cam.
I think I'm going to go wide receiver here, sitting right in front of me, Calvin Ridley. He's just another guy that, has the potential to, give you like a top 15 wide receiver season, probably top 20, whatever. Wide receiver's a little thin on the team right now, so hopefully he'll play out.
It's a good pick. That's who I was going to take if he was there. So I was going to play the game of taking Ridley and seeing which of these running backs made it back to me between another rookie running back, Caleb Johnson, or Travis Etienne, or possibly Brian Robinson. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take Travis Etienne. I think he has a ton of opportunity to bounce back this year. I know Tank Bigsby's there, and they drafted Bashaw Tootin, but I think Etienne is going to get the bulk of the work there. He's going to get some passing downs and maybe be a PPR monster like he was. And so if I end up having him and CMC, and those are my 2 stud running backs, and then I can trade Henderson and Judkins and maybe upgrade with Zay Flowers as my flex, that would be the goal there. So we're going to go Travis Etienne right here.
Love it.
After that, we have Josh Downs, followed by Brian Robinson, Jacoby Myers, and then Jalen Warren. Back to you, T-Bird.
I'm back on the clock. I have 3 picks left. I have 3 receivers, 4 running backs, a quarterback, and a tight end. I honestly don't think this is enough rounds. Is this how many rounds we do in TFFL? We have to do more than this.
It would be without kicker and defense.
Okay. So, it feels weird only having 3 picks left. I feel like my team is really short. I guess I'm just used to those dynasty rosters. So there's still quite a few names out here that I like. I think the running backs kind of fall off a little bit harder than the receivers do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get Caleb Johnson out of Pittsburgh, and hopefully he has a good year as a rookie.
I thought about taking him when I took Cup.
That is black Caleb Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little something weird here. I don't usually stack up on these, but I'm kind of curious about his upside. I am going to take the Colts tight end Tyler Warren here.
Dirty dog.
I really like what he could do.
Is that who
this
you're
year.
looking at, Peyton?
I had my eye on him just with possibly needing another tight end. I said I wouldn't take one, but if it was the right price, I would consider, especially with having Andrews, who is getting up there a little bit older. That's a good pick, Cam.
Yep.
So there's a couple guys here that I look at, and I want to know your guys' thoughts on these guys, and just you can say yay or nay or jump in. The first one is Javonte Williams. He's kind of intriguing. He could take that job if he stays healthy. He may not be like that incredible fantasy option, but he could just get so much volume that he's fantasy relevant, just like Rico Dowdle was last year.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy I think is Stephon Diggs. What do we think of him this year in New England? Like, does he have a chance to be top 20? And
I'll defer to Mr. Kraft.
Personally, I kind of hope he's on a limited snap count early in the year. I want him to get a little healthier before he goes out there and tears something else.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think pairing him with Drake May will be good for Drake May's growth as a young quarterback. And I think with Vrabel in there, I don't know if he's going to be super productive year one. I think late season he could be something. I hope he's super productive from the get-go. But I think he'd be an okay pick to take here in the late rounds for sure.
I'm going to take a running back here. I'm running out of time with this one. I'll let you guys keep going. But I'm going to take a running back who's a bit of a handcuff, but I think has standalone value of his own. Quietly was running back 24 last year, had 1,000 total yards and 9 touchdowns. I think he'll have a very similar role. I'm going to take Rachaad White.
Oh,
Love
nice.
it. Hell yeah.
I'm glad that you like Rachaad White. I have a dynasty league where he's my RB3, and that makes me feel better because I've been nervous about that.
I like him. I mean, he's, you know what you're going to get with him. But
Yeah.
Evan Ingram, Kyler Murray go next, and it's Nolan's turn.
Speaking of Stephon Diggs, I think this is where he gets taken by myself. A bit of a homer pick.
Kyle Pitts next.
But that's something to expect with the TFFL.
Yeah.
There's going to be homer picks for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Jordan Love goes, followed by Dalton Kincaid. I probably need another running back, considering it's just Bijan and DeAndre Swift. But, like Taylor said, there's not much going on in the running back category anymore.
One thing is, not a lot of quarterbacks have gone lately. I mean, I know there was a run right here with Bo Nix, Jordan Love, and Kyler Murray, but then they're really just sprinkled in there. I feel like at most of our TFFL drafts, quarterbacks are gone by the 9th or 10th round. Like, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel by then. Usually, I know last year I had an interesting situation. I had Kyler and I had Jordan Love, and it felt like I played the wrong one every single week, and that was a terrible feeling. Like, if I had just had one, I would have had, I think, 2 more wins, just because I made the wrong decision so many times, and that was really, really a pain in the butt.
I ended up pulling the trigger on Javonte Williams because, like Taylor said, I think there's a lot of upside there in Dallas for him. I definitely think he has the upper hand in winning the backfield there. He's pretty young, 25, I think, somewhere around there. So I think that the upside is good enough for me to take him in round 11.
Cool. I like it.
Okay, so it's back to me. Again, just kind of taking receivers and running backs that I like. At this point I don't think I need to make safe picks. I think I'd like to take a couple swings here. So I'm going to take a swing on a rookie that's a little bit further down the list. One that was a first-round pick, is going to a good offense that's going to throw the ball a lot. Has an older wide receiver 1 and 2, and one of them who just suffered another big injury this past year. And I'm going to take Emeka Egbuka. Take the chance that he's relevant sooner than a lot of people think he will be.
That's a good pick. I think with those two older receivers getting banged up quite a bit, he's going to see a lot more work than people are expecting when they immediately see him get drafted to a wide receiver room with Godwin and Mike Evans. You're like, oh crap, that could suck.
Right.
But no, I think it ends up being better. Like, it was kind of like JSN when he went to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But I think this will take a little bit less time to develop.
Yeah, I totally agree.
We better hope he doesn't see Will Johnson out there. He will lock that boy up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think with the way the team's set up here, I got a guy who's going to give me guaranteed production in Amon-Ra, and then the other wide receivers I've drafted, kind of up in the air. They could have good days, probably more bad days. So I'm going to take another guy who's a number 1 for his team, and that's Michael Pittman.
You could argue he's not the number 1, actually. I think Caleb Downs
I would agree.
ended up outscoring him.
Josh Downs.
Josh Downs, yeah. Not Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a safety, yes.
Also a stud.
Yes. So I'm here on the clock. We got some receivers: Jaden Reed, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden, Darnell Mooney. Running backs: Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet, Dowdle, Bigsby. A couple names that I see here are Bigsby and Garendo. Garendo would be a little bit of a reach if I took him here. Okay.
Sorry.
You guys all right?
We're still talking about Herb Dean.
Oh, gosh. Herb Dean. Oh, the UFC ref?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
I got a minute on the clock here. The reason that Garendo and Bigsby would look intriguing here to me is just because I have CMC and ETN. So I hate to get a bunch of handcuff running backs. So I think I'm going to pass on that for now and try to grab one of those guys after this turn, because this is the second to last round. And I'm going to get a quarterback that I think is going to be pretty solid this year, and that's going to be Caleb Williams.
Ooh, I love it.
I don't love having 2 quarterbacks on the TFFL roster because I feel like you can as long as your quarterback stays healthy throughout the year, you can always plug and play one from the waiver wire. But I'll take Caleb because I do think he has a chance to be a stud. And Team 3 over here, they only have Kyler Murray. I think Caleb has a really good chance to outplay Kyler Murray this year. So maybe they come knocking on the door with a trade later. And if I end up going running back with my next pick and only having 3 receivers, something I could do later is like pair Zay Flowers and one of those running backs for a better receiver or something like that. So here's Caleb on the team. The turn goes Pearsall, Golden, Purdy, Ferguson. And there's lots of running backs, lots of receivers, like I said, there left. I'm going to take one handcuff. That's going to be Tank Bigsby, because I think if ETN doesn't do the job, then Bigsby will. There's going to be a lot of room to run in that offense because they have a lot of good receivers.
Yeah.
And I think even though Trevor Lawrence is not exactly the greatest, but that offense will be all right.
I know, just if you look at the way that Liam Cohen structured the backfield in Tampa, it kind of seems like if anybody was going to fill the Bucky Irving like best pure runner role, I think it would be Bigsby, personally.
Which is crazy because
unless ETN gets back to what he looked like before.
Yeah, his rookie year, I was really high on him in the draft, thinking, he could totally be the Thunder in that offense, and he ended up not doing anything. And then if you listen to the fantasy footballers, you might remember one of the funniest moments they ever had was they were talking about their my guys for the upcoming year, and Andy's on there, and he's talking, and he's going to do his final one, and they prank him when he clicks the drop. It says, Tank Bigsby. And so they're all like dying laughing.
Yeah.
But what was funny is he ended up actually having a great season last year, and so then they've referenced that a lot.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
That's a good one. I like that.
I'm going to one-up him here. I'm going to take an even better handcuff that ends up starting, and that's Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, that's a good pick. If I didn't have ETN or CMC, I wouldn't have even considered those two guys. I would have gone Zach Charbonnet there.
Yep.
As the Kenneth Walker owner in TDL, I'd take a little bit of offense to that, but
if that guy could stay healthy, he'd be a monster. He just
You
can't.
would.
It's okay.
Scat though.
My last pick here. Let's see.
You're not taking a white running back.
No, I'm not. I'm
You
going to
would.
take a home run hitter. I'm going to take Jaden Reed. Everybody knows he's.
Oh, Darnell Mooney would have been the home run hitter there.
Yeah, but there's a sour place in my heart.
Just
for
ask
Darnell
Miles.
Mooney. He was involved in a deal that may have negatively impacted me at some point in mid-season. Got quiet quick. Taylor didn't know I was going to bring that up. Back to Nolan.
We'll finish.
Table that for now.
We'll finish the draft. Here, my thinking is, I'm gonna draft another elite tight end to use Travis Kelce as trade bait for all the Chiefs lovers in TFFL.
I like that.
So I'm gonna pull the trigger on Dallas Goedert here.
And I don't know if I love that.
Well, I didn't
I'm
ask.
not a fan of Dallas Goedert.
Well, I'm glad you're not. I am. You can.
You should have
Yeah.
went with Kyle Pitt. I mean,
you
come
can
on,
have-
he's
If
still
we were
having
going to go with a
guys.
tight end, there was better tight ends
You
there.
can trade me.
I
Nope.
thought you may go your boy
I love my
Loveland.
team.
I thought about it.
Ooh,
You
yeah.
can trade me Lamar and Brock Bowers for Travis Kelce.
Take a look at some of these teams. Team 3 actually has a decent team with JJ, AJ Brown, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, Dave Montgomery. There's some decent. Is a decent draft.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you feel about your teams looking back after this mock draft?
Like I said, I kind of switched up and did some different stuff I wouldn't normally do. Obviously I like my quarterback and my tight end room. Jalen Hurts at the 406, I love that. Andrews in the 8th, it's cheap. I would like to typically get somebody that, I'm a little bit more confident will be a top tier guy, but I think that's good value. Achane and Kyron Williams, and then I got Aaron Jones, and then Rashad White with the running back room as well, so I think that's really solid. It's not going to be the best one in the league, but I think it's steady every week, and then obviously Chase is kind of the anchor to my team. Don't love the rest of my wide receiver room, I'll be honest with you. DK, Devontae Smith, Egbuka, Reed, and Cup. I took a lot of guys, and I had reasonings for liking those guys, but overall, I typically do like to have a bit stronger in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver 2, but like I said, I did something a little different. Overall, I think it's okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually kind of like my team. The studs of it from the early rounds, I mean, I think they're all good enough to carry the team to the playoffs. Josh Allen and Amon-Ra alone, let alone Bucky, and we all know what George Kittle will do. That guy's always fucking popping off. Chuba Hubbard, plenty upside. Wide receiver 2, and past that, it's all shit. But I did draft Pittman, that way Taylor can send me something good.
Hate Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
My team is not the greatest. Obviously, this is not how I would probably draft in TFFL. I haven't had very good success there, as we talked about previously on this podcast. So my mindset going to the real draft is I'm going to change my draft strategy a little bit. I don't know exactly how, but it's going to be a little different than normal.
Okay.
Black.
It's just crazy. My first 2 players are white. I like my team. It's kind of ends up being more of a sleeper team when you get past Lamar and get into my receivers and kind of the running backs. I took flyers on there. So CMC, Bowers, and Lamar should probably be able to hold me up if CMC stays healthy. And the rest of the guys, just hopefully a couple of them break out, and that would be a pretty decent team. I would look forward to the season with that team.
Yeah, I think it was a decent draft overall.
Who got Bijan? Was it Terry?
He didn't draft him, but I think there was a point in the season where he might have, I don't want to say acquired because that's typically a term I reserve for when somebody goes through like the normal legal channels of acquiring a player, but he did somehow end up with Bijan Robinson on his roster, yeah. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, just making sure.
Give your side of that. I want to hear it.
Oh, man. So that was a crazy, crazy night. We all know wins are so valuable in the TFFL. And so
unless it's in the hands of the Elias Sports Bureau.
Unless it's in the hands of the Elias Sports Bureau and they feel bad for PMAC. No, so in the fall, one thing I've had to do in the last 2 years, and I don't love it because it messes up my schedule with like fantasy football and Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. I've been coaching soccer. Our school has a soccer team, 5th and 6th graders, and so I help out. Kind of got voluntold to do that, but it's fun. It takes up that time, and so I get in the car after a game, and it's like we're like 30 minutes out from game time, maybe. And gosh, who was it that was declared out? Was it?
So it was Brees Hall that was going to be out.
No, I traded for Brees Hall. I traded away Bijan.
Is that what it was?
And Bijan had already played his matchup. But the player that was out, gosh, I can't remember. You ended up picking up both of the backups to that player.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I knew. I wish I could remember who it was.
I know.
Because
Well, didn't I pick up Braylon Allen? Or no,
Yeah.
it was James Cook that was out.
James Cook was out. That's correct. James Cook
And
is
I
out,
picked
and
up-
I'm like, you're kidding me, because this was all week. They're saying, he's fine. He's gonna play. He's gonna play.
Yeah.
So if I didn't think he was gonna play, I would have pivoted and found a different option to play that week, and it wouldn't have come down to this. But it did. It's immediate. I get in the car. I'm like, you are kidding me. My week is over. Like, that sucks, because it shouldn't feel over already. Monday Night Football
I
hasn't
left
even
Ty
played.
Johnson for you, but I'm sure you weren't.
I think you picked him up.
No, I just.
You picked them
I'm
both
pretty
up.
sure I just took one.
No, it wasn't Ty Johnson. He was still on the waiver wire.
Okay, so he picks up Ray Davis, who I'm like, okay, that guy will probably end up getting the most carries and touches in that offense. If I took Ty Johnson, I'd have been sitting there praying for like a quick screen where he breaks off a 60-yard touchdown to get me the win, because I needed like somewhere between 13 and 16 points.
Yeah.
So I'm like stressing out. What can I do? What can I do? The game is the Bills and the Jets. So I look around. I think, who has Brees Hall? There's no way I'll be able to get him. Terry's got Brees Hall, who obviously hasn't played yet because he's playing on Monday Night Football. And I believe Terry already has his week either one.
I can't remember.
There's no way he would have traded to me if he hadn't already had it won. I'm sure of that. So he already had it won. And I'm like, hey, you've already got your win. I'm screwed here. I'm willing to give up anything to get Brees to give me a chance at getting a win tonight, because the wins are so huge. I think this would have been like my 4th or 5th win on the season. Nothing crazy, because we weren't super deep into the season, but I was pretty hungry for some wins. And so I end up saying, I'll trade you Bijan and this and that. Well, you can't do that because Bijan's already played, which you can have your opinion on whether you can trade players after they've played. Obviously, I don't think you can be able to put a player in your lineup after the game has started. That's no, but I think if you trade a player, like, trades can always happen. Players get traded mid-game in professional sports all the time, and then they get to play the next game. So I think what the player had already done in your lineup, yeah, that stays. You trade, but then now they're off their roster, and you can see in Sleeper if you do that, because that's kind of where I was basing my trading off of. If you trade a player in Sleeper, it'll just say next to their name off roster, even though they're in your lineup that week, because trades happen midweek. And so I just kind of assumed that you'd be able to do that. So I call Peyton. I'm like, hey, can you trade a player that's already played? And he's like, no way. And I'm like, well, then I can do nothing. Like, I'm just screwed at that point. So I'm like pissed, and I call Terry, and I'm like, hey, I'll trade you as soon as the games are over. I'll trade you all these players if you give me Brees now. So we ended up doing some like Ty Johnson, because that's who I ended up picking up, for Brees. And immediately group chat blowing up, which is awesome, because I told him, don't say anything to the group, just watch them freak out. And then we made it clear that there was another deal at hand that happened after or the next day or something like that.
So I went back and looked at my newsletter, which is really, really long from that week. But I already had Ray Davis because I had him the whole year. James Cook gets ruled out. I pick up Braylon Allen, who would have been Breece's backup that night, who you could have played.
Yes.
You pick up Ty Johnson and then trade him for Breece. And then you ended up sending Bijan and Burrow the next week.
Oh my gosh.
That's
And
how it went down.
and then so we want to talk about that trade absolutely screwing me. That's what made me have to do all those Kyler Jordan Love decisions.
Right.
And then that screwed me for the rest of the year. If I would have just held on to Burrow, I would have just rocked with him the whole year. So that decision definitely screwed me in the long run, and obviously it worked out well for Peyton anyways. So I learned my lesson not to do a trade like that where you're giving up so much just to win a week. And I don't know. That league's crazy.
Saying that it worked out for me would be another way of saying
He won the fucking league.
Nolan.
He finally saw the forest through the trees.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for there. I did, and I don't think that helped me in any way. I think I just have such managerial prowess compared to you novices that it just didn't matter. It was just another little bump in the road. But yeah, I just want to hear your side of it. I'm not gonna fire back too much.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was something else. I mean, I thought my season was over.
I like to make things fun and exciting and get things going crazy.
Well, boys, we're at an hour and 41 minutes here. Anybody have any parting words before we jump off? Especially you, Taylor, since this is your first time on.
No, I'm ready to go on vacation, and then not too long we'll have some TFFL stuff, and hopefully the TDL gets popping, and that's awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Cam, Nolan, anything?
Nope.
No, I think all good, man. I'm excited for the golf match. That's all I'm focused on right now. I haven't done any fantasy research or anything. It's just kind of all golf right now.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming on and chatting for a couple hours. That was a good time. Thank you all for listening. This has been, the first ever crossover P Squared TDL podcast, and we'll see you next time.